Hello, listener. You will be able to enjoy Cosmic Motion even if we're discussing a movie you have not yet seen. But as we're talking about many elements of this film and will almost certainly spoil some aspects, if you'd rather not know anything in advance, watch the movie first and then come back and join our discussion. Welcome to episode 16 of Cosmic Motion, an audio program where filmmakers of all kinds discuss motion pictures, good, bad, ugly, and always interesting throughout the cinematic cosmos. We're recording this on March 9th, 2025. I'd like to present my 10th degree badass belt, Colin Dixon.
Yeah.
Colin is a multimedia editor and all-around swell marital artist.
And I would like to introduce my sensei, William Boudel, the director, writer, actor, raconteur, Tor Johnson, Tory Spelling, Rip Torn.
Thank you.
All the Tors.
I like that you had Tory Spelling and Rip Torn.
Yes.
This week, our guest is Gary Landry Jr. Born and raised in Los Angeles, Gary has worked in the corporate sales world for 10 years before he went to work in the entertainment industry, where he would become a multi-award winning visual media artist with almost 20 years of entertainment industry experience, having worked on a variety of projects for companies such as Disney, Amazon, Warner Brothers, Lionsgate, and Samuel Goldwyn Films, to name a few. Gary is the owner of Tilted Hat Productions, a Los Angeles-based production and post-production video and photography service company, and has written, produced, directed, shot, and edited multiple Telly Award-winning projects in the categories of cinematography, videography, editing, commercial branding, internet, online commercial, educational institution, and for a non-profit organization. Gary is also a championship event attender. I don't know how many events this guy goes to in a year, but he don't mess around. You can tell us the truth, Gary. How many is it in a year? What do you think?
Not enough. Hello.
Welcome,
Good to
Gary.
be here.
Welcome,
Good to be
welcome.
here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
Our
man.
pleasure. Yeah.
Gary and I met long ago in the Stone Ages when we were both doing things for Disney, let's say, for now.
That's right. We had the mouse ears on at the same time.
Kids Incorporated.
How'd you know? Gary, where did your passion for movies begin?
Oh, since I was a kid. That was one of my favorite things to do. I remember the first time I went to a theater, my parents took me. I think it was the first Superman movie. It was the first thing I remember seeing in a movie theater. And it just blew me away.
The Richard Donner, 1978,
yes,
Christopher Reeves. Yeah.
Christopher Reeves, Richard Donner, Gene Hackman, who just
pour
rest
one
in
out.
peace. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just been captivating. You know, I enjoy a wide variety of genres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always been entertainment, but it's also captivated my imagination all the way through. So,
Would you say, like, if you look back on when you were a kid and you were watching movies, was Superman the biggest inspiration at the beginning?
No. Well, that was, I mean, I was into superheroes, but I would say Star Wars specifically more than Superman was probably some of my biggest inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
the one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one. Yeah.
Tell us about this. What is it called? War of Stars?
Yeah, something to do with this space opera where the people, they shoot lasers and
Okay.
use magical powers. It's
That
pretty
sounds
cool.
good.
It's pretty. I think it's going to take off.
It's not the big franchise that Kroll has become, but yeah, I mean, it's up there.
It'll be good. Yeah, everything from that to like, I remember Beastmaster, all the 80s horror movies, man. I really dug those too. So yeah.
Phantasm?
Phantasm?
Coscarelli?
Yeah, I saw that. Uh-huh.
Since you mentioned Beastmaster, I thought maybe I'd ask you about Phantasm because it's the same director.
Yeah, I like Phantasm. Beastmaster I've seen quite a few times, but yes.
That's fun. That played on cable a lot, right?
It did.
Yeah, that was like a cable staple.
Cable staple. Yeah, Mark
Beastmaster,
Singer.
Beast Within, all of the beasts.
All the
All
beasts.
the beasts. Yeah.
And what about when you were older and you decided, how did you decide to get into filmmaking?
I was looking for something different to do. I worked in corporate sales for 10 years. And
So it wasn't like you were a kid and you thought, I want to make
No, I
movies.
started late. Yeah, I started really late. I didn't even know it was a viable career. I mean, I knew movies were made. I didn't know people could make a living doing it. Right. So I had no idea how they were put together. So
That might be true again, actually, what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Strange times, strange times. So yeah, I mean, once I started figuring that out, I was like, oh, I really enjoy doing this. I can see myself doing this.
Right. And did you see a particular field? Like, was it directing, cinematography? Because I know you're into photography a lot.
I am. Yeah. I like to shoot. I like to edit. I like putting the pieces together, and especially after something that I've shot, because I can always imagine how it's going to go together when I'm shooting it, and then to actually see it come together in the edit room, it's great.
Well, today, what are we going to talk about today, Colin?
We're going to talk about a duel.
Yes.
Not a duel for invigoration purposes, but a duel for death.
Right.
Death.
Yes.
To the death, to be specific.
It's not like they're wearing white outfits with face masks when they duel.
We're talking about 1983's Duel to the Death, directed by Siu-Tung, oh boy.
Tony Ching Siu-Tung.
That's right.
Siu-Tung Ching. Oh, okay.
Or Ching Siu-Tung.
Yeah. Well, so I actually do, there is an order that you're supposed to put these things in, and I don't know it.
I think either order is fine.
Okay. On IMDb, he's listed as Siu-Tung Ching. I'll go with that.
AKA Tony Ching.
Yeah. Should I do a little synopsis?
Please.
Okay. Duel to the death. Two broad stereotypes, a Chinese swordman named Ching Wan, Lord of the Sword, and his counterpart, a Japanese quote-unquote samurai named Hashimoto, are gearing up for a decennial tournament where they must vie for the honor of their nations, schools, monastery, former masters, whatever, while a dangerous cadre of crafty ninjas scheme in the background for some nefarious purpose. Hashimoto embarks on the journey not before being rudely assailed by his master, who sacrifices himself in an effort to emphasize just how for realsies he is about Hashimoto winning. Ching Wan is made to suffer several minutes of his former Sifu's buffoonery and some impressive bird acting before he can embark himself. Landing before the Holy Sword House, they are acquainted with / assailed by the fetching Sheng Nan and her pescatarian father, Master Han. In the days leading up to the duel, we learned of a clandestine plan stemming from the Japanese shogun to kidnap the most prized fighters and to give Japan the edge in future duels. In an effort to preserve a fair fight, our two fighters are briefly united in their efforts to rescue the kidnapped masters and foil the band of ninjas led by the deceptive Kenji. Once the shogun's plot is thwarted, the two fighters are once again pitted against each other in the titular duel to the death, and this time
it's for reals. Yeah. You did a whole summary there.
We're a spoiler pod.
We are a spoiler pod, just so you know, Gary, if you want to spoil.
At least you didn't say who won.
We can. I mean, well, can we? There are a few things that we should note of the names. So there's Hashimoto apparently is a mistranslation
Correct.
Of the name. So it should be Miyamoto Ichiro, I guess,
yes.
For the character that Norman Chu plays. And then also the other character that's been mistranslated for a long time is Kenji, played by Eddie Ko, is actually supposed to be Kaneda. So in more recent versions of the subtitles, you'll see Kaneda and Miyamoto instead of, Hashimoto and Kenji.
Well, that begs an interesting question that maybe I'll just throw out here right up top. How did you guys see this film?
I saw it on a highly not suspicious website where I found a 720p copy. And that's how I saw it. It was decent quality, and the subtitles seemed pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it on online as well. I think it's streaming currently on a company called Plex.
Mm-hmm.
So I found it there.
It's on Tubi too. I think it was just that I think it might have been on Tubi. It was on something where it was on YouTube for sure, and it was a lower quality, and I just wanted to get a better picture than I was getting. So that's why I searched elsewhere.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
No,
you saw it
the
on
quality.
Plex.
The version I saw online on Plex the quality was great.
It was fine.
It looked fantastic. So
all right, so maybe I should have watched it there.
Okay. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine claims to have ripped it from his own personal DVD library, but then the file that he gave me had led with a Russian dub. So that's just already to me suggests that maybe it wasn't on the up and up.
Right.
But I guess I bring this up only because it does sound like there was a Blu-ray remaster where they got all the names right, and it probably looks great and probably sounds better than what maybe the three of us encountered. But anyway.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the cast a little bit. So it's Norman Chu as, let's say, Miyamoto / Hashimoto, formerly Hashimoto. Damian Lau as Bo Ching-wan, and then Flora Chong-Leen as Sing Lam, the gorgeous woman who's in the film. And then Eddie Ko played Kaneda, formerly Kenji. Then there are a few other characters that we can go into later if we want to. But those are the leads. And I really like the two leads a lot. Norman Chu has a kind of serious, handsome face, very intense. And it goes along with his plight of being a very serious Japanese swordsman who is so eager to fight to the death, essentially. And then there's Damian Lau, who kind of has this kind of, I don't know, more open, dreamy face, like he's just full of life's mysteries right there in his gaze. He's got a great face for a lead. And he's the Chinese swordsman who is going to question the whole duel to the death as we move forward.
Yeah, he does the Andy Dufresne walking around without a care in the world kind of vibe.
Yeah. Did you like these guys, Gary?
Yeah, I thought their look was fantastic for the role. They were both great, I thought, in their respective roles. Yeah.
Right on.
Good casting here.
Now, Gary, if I drop the term wuxia on you, do you know what I'm talking about?
Wuxia.
If I drop wuxia on you.
I don't think I've heard that before. What is it? What are you referring to?
So this film is described as wuxia film, and I think it applies, although I did have somebody at a party once, crypto bro length description of like what wuxia does apply to and doesn't apply to. I think this definitely applies.
Yes.
It's a genre where, and I guess it gets equated with wire fu.
Okay. Yes.
But that's not a fair description. It's more of a wandering swordsman genre, and usually there's some element of potential magic or some fantasy in it. But this is described as wuxia, and I believe that wuxia is actually a recent coinage for this genre. But I guess I bring it up because I think this is one of the earlier examples of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill.
No, to my knowledge, yeah, that could absolutely be accurate. Apparently, like you said, itinerant warriors and period, these are aspects of wuxia. And that this falls into both of those things. And also the supernatural aspect, like you said.
Yeah, so Crouching Tiger, House of Flying Daggers, Hero, things like this.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that. So let's talk about the director a bit. So Tony Ching, or Ching Siu-Tung, his father, Ching Gong, directed movies for the Shaw Brothers. And Tony, or Ching Siu-Tung, trained as a kid at the Peking Opera. You might have heard of Jackie Chan talk about this, things like that, which is a really kind of strenuous, strict school of learning everything involving, I think, martial arts and performance. And he said, quote, "I actually grew up in the film studio, and that's why I got very interested in action movies. I spent a lot of time with famous directors whilst they were shooting the films, for example, King Hu." So he first began his career as a martial arts instructor and actor working in Hong Kong movies, and then eventually, he became a director and action choreographer and action director. And he's most famous probably for his action choreography and action directing for other people, including films like Hero, the one you just mentioned, 2002, which I believe is
Jet Li.
And then Shaolin Soccer and A Better Tomorrow, too, by John Woo. So he's worked with a lot of directors to help them improve the visuals of their action and the stunts and everything. You can see why in this film. I mean, it's amazing. This is his directorial debut, and he's also one of the writers credited on the script. And as director, he's best known for A Chinese Ghost Story from 1987. But this is probably his second best known film, and I thought it was amazing. It blew me away. I had heard very little to nothing about it, and immediately was sucked in by the kind of cinematic magic that it was putting on screen and the charm of that. I love so many things about this film. What were some of your first impressions? Do you hate it, love it? What did you think?
So I, at first I was a little concerned because I have spent a lot of time with the so-called wuxia movies, but most of those have been modern entries. So, Hero, Crouching Tiger, Forbidden Kingdom, even things like Assassin, House of Flying Daggers, things like that. And I've also spent enough time kind of watching the martial arts movies of the 70s, and you mentioned the Shaw Brothers and things like that, the Masters of Flying Guillotine, things like this. So when this first kind of opens to us and we see these ninjas kind of assailing this temple, I was worried that we were just kind of in for more of the same, even though this precedes many of those films. But as soon as the ninjas start engaging in, I don't know what I would call it, needless
Trickery.
trickery and choreography and
Right.
displays of athleticism and acrobatic
Right.
exercises, then I was back on board.
Right. Right.
Because immediately they're throwing you into a fantasy world, and they do it with such reckless abandon that I was pretty captivated from that
Right.
moment forward.
Right. They're immediately, these ninjas. I mean, it's funny. This is, the Chinese perspective on Japanese ninjas. And they're immediately like leaning hard into these guys are all about deception and trickery. And so everything, so you see them do so many things. Like the ninjas were some of my favorite.
Oh, they're absolutely
characters.
I think of the ninjas as a singular character, and they are my favorite character.
At one point, they are a singular character.
Yeah, oh yes,
because they're like,
we'll get there.
They become a Voltron of ninjas.
Yes,
Yeah, the ninja mysticism in this movie is fantastic. It very much has a theatrical presence, the way that they're portrayed, and some of the motions, them flying in on kites.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's just the way they appear and disappear, and definitely on the trickery side. I really enjoyed the ninjas as well. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, not surprisingly, Siu-Tung Ching was also the stunt coordinator on this. And his work is truly magical to behold. Like I'm watching it and it's just delighting me scene after scene of just like the things that he comes up with and the way that he executes them.
Yeah.
It's not like he would do things in a way that you would necessarily normally see in other films of the time or later. The execution of the practical visual effects and the stunts in the movie is just remarkable. And I think the vast majority, and tell me what you guys think, I think the vast majority hold up today.
Yes.
There are moments where it's like, oh, that's some cute animation. Like, the wire work fights, everything involving the ninjas, the ninja Chinese throwing star, stop motion animation, that probably wouldn't be used today, but I love it. I think it's adorable. When the ninjas burrow into the ground, they jump out of the ground, the flying ninja kites that you mentioned. Like at one point, there's a whole throng of them flying. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Is it like, do they have multiple cranes? Seriously.
No,
I'm
like
like, I don't know how, I still don't know how he did it.
You couldn't see much of the wire work until the end.
Right.
Like when they're on the cliffs. Then
Right.
I started noticing wires. But
Right.
for the most part, I didn't see any wiring.
yeah.
I mean, it's there.
But
Yeah.
let's say they did wire work with those ninjas and the kites. How do they have like literally 10 ninjas in the air flying like that? How does that work?
And if it was like mat work, then wow, what great mat work. And if it wasn't, then yeah, I mean, how many cranes did they, and how did they do that
It's
safely?
insane.
And
Yeah, it just looks like, I don't know. That was 50 years ago. And I'm like, how did he do that?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
the only thing that seemed dated
years ago.
as far as that stuff to me was it does seem like they're speeding the film up a little bit while they're running and things like that.
Especially in the opening scene. There was
Yeah.
a lot of film speed ups in that.
Yeah. Although I like the way they move, so it's like I can't be too mad at it, but it probably doesn't age particularly well.
Yeah, and I mean, like I was talking about earlier, the Voltron Ninja, when they do the split, and it's clearly an animation.
Sure.
But I mean, it was like literally 2 seconds, and it was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Today they would do that with VFX, okay, and hopefully it would look good.
And aside from the ninjas themselves, there are some, where there are some martial arts feats that could only be achieved by reversing the film, and some of those were a little bit obvious. But
yeah.
Other than that, I mean, yeah, I'd say this ages spectacularly well.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I noticed a clear reversal when that one ninja jumps up to the ceiling and places, like, kind of plants himself on it. But I still loved it. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about people using in-camera tricks that delights me.
Yeah,
Even if
absolutely.
it's not perfect, it kind of, I don't know, there's something about the ingenuity of it. I also loved the nets under the trap door, when Ching Wan and his compatriots are like all snagged like little flies in a spider web.
Yeah.
It was like so cool. It reminded me of other things that are much more modern. So yeah, I just, that's one of the things, whatever you think of the story or the acting, which actually I like both, but even if you don't like that, you can watch this film and purely be entertained by the different gimmicks that he uses to come up with to execute the scenes.
And they're not very repetitive either. There's
No.
always something new going on.
Yes.
Especially with the ninjas.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Like he's not doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. It doesn't feel old. Even at the end, it does not feel old.
Well, so do you have like a martial arts film background, or do you have a common, or do you have like any kind of wire fu films that stand out to you as like superlative, or is this like a genre that's kind of new to you?
No, I've always been a martial. I grew up watching David Carradine on TV in the 70s. So, I mean, yeah, no, I love martial
Kung
arts.
Fu?
Yeah, Kung Fu, Legend of Kung Fu. Yeah, so
A friend of mine
just
was in that
walk
as a
the
kid.
earth, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Might have him on the show. We'll see.
There you go.
Yeah.
But no, I've always been a big fan of martial arts movies, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Michelle Yeoh. So I could see a lot of how this film could have influenced those films, that.
Or vice versa, maybe.
Maybe because I don't
83.
recall anything this early with that kind of wire work before 83 that I could think of. Because before that we had you're basically Bruce Lee, and I don't recall much of that. Granted, I haven't watched every martial arts film out of Asia, but
I think you're more familiar with this genre than I am, Colin. Do we know if they did wire work in the 70s, or is that?
Yeah, there's movies like Sister Street Fighter and stuff like that, but not really. And I can't think of anything quite like this. And I guess part of the reason that I was, asking about everybody's martial arts background is because, we were talking about how there is this ingenuity. There aren't really any set pieces that are kind of repeated, but it's not just that I love about these kind of so-called wire fu or wuxia films. It's the little moments, and this movie is packed with those. So, for example, I'm thinking of like Crouching Tiger when is it Zhang Yimou? Why am I thinking of the lead actress?
Michelle Yeoh, isn't it?
No, it's Michelle Yeoh, but
Zhang Ji.
Yes,
yeah,
the young one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who had a very prominent career here in America. But it's like so when like Zhang Ji catches like the teacup as it's falling off the table. Or I was today years old when I found out that this director did stunt work for Hero, and I'm thinking about Hero where they're kind of like doing this thing where they're kind of traipsing through this still pond, and in this film, it's like moments where Master Han, he's fishing and he asks them to come sit down with him, and they have to like come up with these ingenuitive ways of like getting onto his little raft when he kind of moves it out of the way, and like that stuff is like those little things are what makes these kind of movies special to me. Not to say that those big set pieces and like those big fights aren't also rad, but that little stuff like really like stands out in my mind.
No, I love that moment when he tests them. You know, he just moves the rafts a little bit, and you see them jump off of. They what do? They
one of them like swords.
One of them throws a sword on the water and jumps off of it, and the other one I thought had another thing, but maybe it was a sword too.
Yeah, well, so they both like do weird things with their scabbard. Like one throws it in the water and kind of jumps off it, and the other one kind of uses it as like a trampoline in midair or something.
Right. And what did you guys think of Flora Chong-Leen as Sing Lam?
She's as I mentioned in my synopsis, she's a fetching lady. I hate to lead with that. But,
she is fetching, but also like she has a kind of very noble face. I thought she was quite good at the very beginning. We're introduced with her. I like her immediately because she defends the. Basically, some Japanese guys are watching a puppet show, and in the puppet show, the puppeteer makes the Chinese guy disrobe and
humiliates him.
He humiliates the Japanese puppet, and so they get really angry and they just kill him. And so he says, okay, now one of you has to die, blood for blood, and then proceeds to fight them in a way that's very amusing and also ethical, it feels like. And then they do die, or one of them does.
The wife of the man that died.
Yeah.
That
she holds the
gets
sword
her
out.
revenge. Yeah. So she's like, hold this, doesn't tell her what it's for.
Yeah.
And she enacts her justice.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I also have to mention about that puppeteer.
Yeah.
Solid puppeteer work there as well.
Yeah.
This movie had everything.
That guy was a master of his craft.
Wasn't he also eating or drinking at the same time?
Yes, he was.
It's like, wow, he can really multitask.
Jim Henson, eat your heart out, buddy.
Yeah. Frank Oz ain't got nothing on this guy.
That's right. Puppeteer ninja right there.
Right. This thing was written by, as I mentioned before, Siu-Tung was one of the, the director was one of the writers, and then David Lai, and then Manfred Wong. Manfred Wong may be the best known of the three, and he is, I guess, particularly known for his Young and Dangerous movies. I haven't seen any of those yet, but they're on my list.
Okay, yeah, no, neither have I.
What are we thinking about the actual look of the film, like cinematography, production design, locations? I thought it was really beautiful. I thought that the locations were very smartly chosen. It's period at the same time. It has to be visually arresting, and it is. I mean, the one that sticks out the most in my mind after seeing the whole film are the rocks by the sea at the very end.
Sure.
That is such an amazing Is that the place where they did the Last Jedi?
Oh no,
or whatever.
That's
it is.
actually an island. That's an island in Ireland.
No.
But yeah, so they do share that kind of striking, just jutting straight out of the ocean look. For
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Beautiful. Did you guys have any thoughts on those? Did any of those locations?
Everything looked great. I mean, even the cave they were in was well
the
done.
Cave was
yeah,
great.
that was good.
I don't know if that was a set or real. Yeah,
It looked
Beautiful.
fantastic. Yeah, it's just the monastery, the Holy House of the Sword, that place looked great.
Mhm.
Everything looked authentic. Even the bridge they were fighting on, where the master attacks the Japanese champion with the mask, and yeah, everything looked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're just like pagodas, like around every corner where they were shooting or whatever. So I have to imagine some of this was actual stuff that is existing in Hong Kong. But there's an excellent use of locations and an excellent use of nature as well. I mean, there's one of the sequences that I guess is the most bizarre, but it's still very striking. Is earlier in the film, Chang Wang goes to. For some reason, he's made to revisit his old master or his old Sifu.
Oh boy, I want to talk about him. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, well, so and that's really just a bamboo tree porn scene, which I'm all for. Or maybe it's not bamboo, but it's definitely this forest and it's very distinct.
Yeah.
And then I guess that's what I would say is every location does feel distinct, and maybe it serves what you were talking about, Gary, is where every set piece kind of feels novel. Because even when they're in different forests, they each have some distinguishing feature. I'm thinking about there's this scene where they're getting bombed by ninjas and they're kind of in a forest, but they're also in like a cemetery or something like that. So I mean, every location seems to have a little feature in it that distinguishes it.
They were in the desert too. They had some desert shots in there too. Yeah, a little everything.
Yeah. Well, which was it? Did you have a favorite sort of stage piece, like location, a certain fight that happened in a certain?
Yeah, I think for me, the rocks at the end were the ultimate lead up to,
it is a nice,
everything. It was great.
Kind of apex of locations, that last one. It's just sort of completely unusual and striking.
Get the hard rocks with the soft water and the flow of the fight. Everything was great.
Right. Yeah. Like you don't typically fight on rocks when you're doing martial arts, unless, you're fighting to the death and it's like, doesn't matter, you're going to die. So we're not putting down mats for you. You either fall in the ocean, you hit your head on the rocks, or you die, standing.
Yeah, I was actually kind of partial to the Holy Sword House, which is what they also call my pants.
Hey!
No, and it's not, there's nothing super special about that space other than it's just they utilize it in so many different ways. As I'm also including.
Are you still talking about your pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I'm also including like that trap door into that spider web that
I
you're
love
talking
it.
about.
Yeah.
And I guess that would also include that cave, because I guess they're all kind of the same location. That whole area stands out for me. I don't know.
Yeah. The cinematography is by Danny Lee and Lau Hung Chun, and shot 2:35:1 anamorphic. Beautiful 35 millimeter cinematography. I really like the lighting that they employed. I like the natural daytime cinematography that they did. It's just all really top notch. Everything feels crafted in a way with a lot of care and a lot of love. And so that helps sell the story. Going back to Ching Wan's Sifu, his teacher.
Please.
So we're introduced at the very beginning to our two main guys, and we're also introduced to their teachers. Miyamoto has a very serious Japanese teacher who, and this, granted, this is made from a Chinese perspective, so there's some commentary going on here. Like you have to win. You can't dishonor us. It's all about honor. Kind of stereotypical Japanese culture stuff, particularly for the period.
Right.
And he is so serious about making sure that Miyamoto doesn't, disgrace them in any way, that he attacks him later with a mask, and Miyamoto kills him, not knowing that that's his teacher, just testing him. And it's like, holy smokes, did we? So that's part of the whole duel to the death thing of like, what is the price of this? What is the price of being a great master and then having to fight to the death? Well, this, teacher literally gives his life just to see if his student is ready. Then we go to the Sifu with Cheng Wan, and he is this totally goofy, kind of little crazy, maybe very emotional. He's the complete foil. He's completely different.
In a bit too exaggerated of a way. That actually is not a scene that works particularly well for me, although top-notch bird acting, I have to say.
The bird is lovely.
Yes.
But I would say there's a few things going on here that, yes, I agree. It's a bit over the top. Also, everything in this movie is top-notch in terms of effects, right? Like makeup effects, blood, da-da-da. This guy's bald cap. As a bald man,
Yeah.
I'm offended.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
Like
Yeah.
you spend all this time doing this incredible
Yeah.
wire work. The ninjas have these incredible tricks that they can do. And then you spend $1.50 on the bald cap? Come on.
Yeah.
What is that? That doesn't look like his hair.
No, it's brutal. I forgot about that completely. They taught a bird how to speak Cantonese, and yet they can't just shave this man for one role.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen bald caps in other films that looked fine. And fine, you got a little bump here or there because their hair's underneath. Fine. But either, shave his head, give him a bump. But I mean, that bald cap was pathetic.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's rough.
That is so literally I have like this thing where I write down what is the weakness of the film. That is the one weakness that I came up with.
Well, okay. There's a few weaknesses I have. So did anybody watch a dubbed version of this? Because I feel like
Yes.
Okay. In their dubbed translation, did they refer to this as a duel or as a tournament?
Not a tournament. It was a duel.
Always a
it
duel?
was a yeah.
Okay.
Because there's no other fighters. It's just the two champions. So there's not really a tournament.
See, because that's so. I guess in subtitles they usually refer to it as a duel, but occasionally they refer to it as a tournament, and that's what was kind of confusing to me because wherever they are, whatever location they end up, I guess that town where they first encounter Sheng Nan is. There's all these fighters that have amassed there, and not only that, the shogun has initiated a plot to capture all of the best fighters. Why are they all there? Are they there to what? They talk about how like the people there's like a select few that are chosen to watch the duel, but then there's like all these fighters in town, and it seems like they're.
You mean Japanese fighters?
I didn't get the sense that they were all Japanese because there are other swordsmen there as well, and I didn't know what they were doing there. Is that just that's just the world they live in? There's just kind of swordsmen.
It's a good question.
Corner.
I don't really have an answer.
I got the feeling, yes. So I got the feeling that there's, from my understanding, is the House of the Holy Sword is in China. They have their own group of fighters there.
Mm-hmm,
they have the Shaolin fighters who are also in China, who are the predominant kung fu house.
And that's who we see at the beginning fighting the ninjas.
The monks, yeah.
Yes.
So the Shaolin monks are fighting the ninjas. And then you have the Japanese entourage, which is coming into town with their fighter. And I assume bring some of their representatives as well, which happen to be ninjas.
So it's just the kind of like there's each fighting house like kind of has its own entourage. But see, then later, Sheng Nan and her father, and also that's another translation thing in mine. Sometimes he was Master Han, sometimes he was Master Ha. So again, don't know where this buddy of mine sourced this copy of the film that I watched, and it looked and sounded fine. But Sheng Nan and Master Han or Master Ha have these discussions. I'm just going to call him Han. Master Han have these discussions about how she's going to kind of restore the honor of the Holy Sword House, the House of the Holy Sword.
Right.
But it's a duel between Japan and China, right?
Yeah, that was unclear. I think that just may be fault in the screenwriting.
Yeah.
I think that yes, she's trying to carry the name of the house and bring it back into the graces, I guess, of the world and bring fame to it. But she's not involved in the duel, so all we see is her. She tries to fight both of them. She tries to fight the Japanese one. She tries to fight the Chinese one. But where she would come into play, maybe she means like in the future, like whoever wins, she's going to eventually fight. It's not really well explained or expressed.
Right, because then later she goes on to her detriment. She goes on to challenge Ching Wan, which doesn't end up well for her. But she challenges him to what end? I was thinking, so if you best him, do you now undertake the duel?
Well, I think she's
Miyamoto?
trying to learn from them by fighting them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like she literally says that to Miyamoto. She's like, I want to learn from you or something like that. And she just starts fighting him. And then eventually he says, I don't fight women.
Right.
And she does the same thing with Ching Wan, but that also ends. So I'm guessing that she is supposed to be taken as some kind of really promising pupil, and that in the future she will be a force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, her father sees to the fact that that will never happen.
Yeah.
Because he kills his daughter.
That was my understanding of the whole situation. Was the House of the Holy Sword has fallen out of favor in the Chinese martial arts community. The Shaolin monks have taken over, been the prominent kung fu house.
Okay.
And what I understood it to be was by showing that the House of the Holy Sword can defeat the best fighter in either China or Japan, they would be worthy to be invited to be represented at the tournament.
Okay.
Or at the duel. That's kind of where I thought she was coming from.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think you're probably right about that. I think I'm getting caught up in the minutia of some of the things they say to each other. Like when she does initiate a fight with Ching Wan at the end, she says, eventually we're going to have to face each other, so I challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, well, why? What do you get out of this? But
the
thing is, and I the only reason I bring this up is because we've kind of organically made our way to the film's weaknesses, but I think the film's weaknesses, so to speak, are very few. And honestly, as you were kind of alluding to earlier, Bill, we could probably just watch this film without dialogue, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the film it is about story, but it's not so much about plot, maybe. Yes, you're supposed to understand that there's a house that's fallen out of favor, and they're trying to gain face again. Of course, there are the Japanese swordsmen who want to always defeat the Chinese swordsmen. Chinese swordsmen want to hold the position of being the best in the world. And so there's a constant competition happening. And this one is so intense that it is always to the death, this every 10-year competition. So those are elements of the story. But as far as the details of what are her intentions, Sing Lam's intentions, because not only does she say, she wants to fight Ching Wan, clearly they're starting to fall in love or have some kind of a romance.
Yes.
And the father, thwarts that by saying, I'm so unhappy that you are going to let this guy just smooth talk you into a relationship. You should be focusing on your fighting and, you represent the house.
Right. Yeah, no, this is a movie that transcends the little details that get left by the wayside. Like, for instance, early in the film, the ninjas are infiltrating the monastery, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're trying to steal like a scroll.
Right.
Which they then go and bury in the beach.
Right.
And then they later come to retrieve it.
Right.
And we see them kind of do this like watermark trick with it where, they reveal like the figures of the calligraphy on it.
Right.
Do we know what that was? Is it like
it's
their
the
fighting
secrets.
techniques?
It's fighting techniques.
Okay,
Yeah. It's the secrets of how to defeat, I think, like either the master swordsman or something like that.
Yeah, the Shaolin monks.
The Shaolin monks.
It was their secret to the part of their kung fu, but it was never. I thought it was a translation thing because I never fully understood that plot point.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was developed very well, but yeah, they were trying to steal that.
Right.
But I mean, there are other massive holes too.
Sure.
Such as, why does Sing Lam's father, Master Han, want to help the Japanese secretly?
Right.
If he wants his house to gain favor in China, and how is helping the Japanese going to do that?
See, I was mad at you for having me write this synopsis for this one because I was trying to figure all that out and I really couldn't. I think what is going on there.
But you wrote a whole summary. You got very detailed.
But the thing is that I think that the Shogun's plot was that they're going to kidnap all these great masters and sabotage Miyamoto this time. So they're going to sabotage Japan this time. We'll give you this one, which would also restore the integrity of the House of the Holy Sword.
Would it?
I guess.
Okay. I see. You mean they were going to sabotage Miyamoto, the Japanese fighter,
yes,
so that the Chinese win. I see. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And then so Master Han gets to claim that clout for his school. But then at that point, in future duels, Japan will be a juggernaut because they have all the world's best fighters and all the secrets and all that. So,
but Ching Wan isn't part of that house, though, right? He's not part of the house.
But they do try to kidnap him. So I do think that they were going to try to kidnap him and exploit his techniques, just like they were going to do with all the rest of these fighters who they kidnap.
But if Ching Wan wins and he's not part of the house, then how does that restore any kind of favor to the house of...
So you called it a plot hole? It's more of a plot labyrinth.
I mean, look,
into the abyss.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, you know. And I guess because I'm so delighted by the techniques used to tell the actions parts, that I just said, whatever. If this was now, this is a bias because it's a foreign film.
Yes.
And I would let a foreign film get away with this more than I would a domestic film. If this were in English, I would be like, this makes no sense. They didn't even try on the script.
Sure.
Blah, 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 blah.
Well, it depends. You know, if it's like a 1980s Jean-Claude Van Damme camp or something, like maybe I'd let them get away with it. But if it's trying to be serious as a hardtack and it's in an English-speaking film, I generally wouldn't give it the same leash I would this.
Yeah.
I don't know what it says about me as a viewer or us as viewers, but...
I think that makes sense. Obviously, if they're trying to make it serious, yes. This is both. This is more of, you know, even though it's Chinese 80s, it's 80s. So it has a lot of levity to it. Yeah. Including the terrible bald cap guy.
Do we have a sense of how this was received?
I think it was received very well.
Okay.
But I actually don't know. You mean upon their initial release, I really couldn't tell you if this was a box office hit or, you know, if it kind of made average money. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, would this be a good time to get into what I would like to describe as a list of ninja hijinks?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Gary, could you just drop like maybe one act of ninja wiliness that impressed you or that stood out to you?
Oh God, there was so much ninja lore in this thing. I loved it all. I really liked that they went to the disappearing, reappearing mid-fight ninja techniques.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the way they did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't overdone, but it was enough to be like, yeah, they're trying to throw the other fighter off.
Right.
You know?
Well, so I'm going to call out one. A lot of the best ninja hijinks are centered around their attempts to kidnap people. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite techniques is what I would call the net suit.
Okay.
Because there's a ninja, a female ninja,
yes,
whose clothes fly off and turn into a net, and then that's how they capture one of these masters. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
That's an amazing moment.
Yes, I was so surprised by that.
would not have happened in an American film of the time.
No.
What Colin's describing is, her clothes fly off and there's nothing underneath.
No, absolutely not.
It's literally she is buck naked, and those clothes, I guess, they formed this net. That was bizarre.
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I was like, do you have any Billiam?
I mean, I like Ninja Voltron a lot. So there's this the monk that's the friend of Ching Wan, and he is walking and he starts to hear this kind of large rumble behind him, like the Jolly Green Giant is following him. And he turns around and it is a giant ninja, or at least seemingly so, until like 10 ninjas jump away from this Voltron. So they were basically all standing on top of each other to form one large ninja. And they all jump away and they start doing their ninja things, burrowing into the ground and, I don't know, chucking, throwing stars, whatever they were doing. And I just thought that was delightful. So then he has to fight, 10 ninjas at the same time. It was great.
There was a moment where I think it's Sheng Nan is fighting them on the beach. And one of them snares her with a rope. And another ninja down the beach sticks a sword into the ground, and they pull her towards the sword as if they're kind of going to buzzsaw her.
Right.
And
that
then,
was amazing.
Ching Wan steps in. But I mean, it's just like there's so many little ingenuitive little ninja moments.
Yeah, and I mean that speaks to the cunning of the director and stunt choreographer, Siu-Tung Ching. He just keeps coming up with visual idea after visual idea to execute these things. I loved it.
Yeah, do any more stand out for you, Kurt?
Yeah, the use of the smoke grenades, smoke bombs, I thought was fantastic. Conceal deception.
Yeah, they have like a smoke bomb / little ninja rifle shootout with Ching Wan and Sheng Nan, where they're kind of like doing the lightsaber deflecting of laser thing, where they're literally ricocheting bullets or throwing stars off of their swords.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I think it's that same scene on the beach. That's really interesting. I guess that this also all kind of goes hand in hand with the editing, which is doing a lot of the legwork here.
Yes, excellent editing in this film.
Excellent editing and very interesting use of camera angles and camera placement, and the conjunction of those two adds up to gold. And you know, a lot of this absolutely relies on the editing to hide the artifice, right? The cable work and the wire work, and you know, obviously. Yeah, we can't see the entire shot in reverse motion of somebody floating up to the ceiling. You know, that'd be way too obvious. But they mask all of that really well. One moment in particular is the actual duel between Sheng Nan and Ching Wan, which takes place at the House of Holy Sword. They are constantly flipping from like the ceiling to the floor, and it all feels really natural. And I just kind of like the kite scene you were describing, I kept thinking to myself, like, how are they doing this?
Right.
Yeah,
So-
even when there's like 20, 40 martial artists on screen at the same time, you never get lost as to what is going on.
Yeah, the action is really clear.
Yeah, you always
though,
have a sense of where you are and what's happening and who's doing what. You're never lost in the action.
There are a few, you know, massive action directors these days where you watch their stuff and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
visually, this makes no sense.
The first Gladiator movie, I hated the action in that movie.
I didn't
It was
like-
all shot way too close. You couldn't tell what was going on.
Yeah,
Not
and
so
it-
much here.
but not
Everything
only-
here was great.
Not only that, shooting close is a cheap trick to be able to get away with certain
Yeah.
amounts of action that you actually don't want to show because you can't, because you haven't come up with a way to cinematically express it. And that's something that Ching never does. He never really, he'll cheat you in the sense of using trickery, but he'll make it look real, and he'll do it in a way that doesn't feel phony or easy.
Yeah, the spatial awareness of the film is very impressive. But also, they can't have a massive set piece every second, you know. But even in those still moments, they find ways to incorporate these interesting little devices or visual trickery. I mean, I'm thinking of they have like a feast with Kaneda.
Kaneda.
So they have like this feast with Kaneda, and the ninjas are trying to poison either Ching Wan or Master Han. I can't remember who. And they just kind of
Ching Wan, yeah.
They just kind of dangle a little thread over his tea. And,
Right. Yeah. And have a
Drip
little
the poison
drop.
down. Yeah, that
it
was
down.
great.
yeah.
And it was great that you think that he might drink it, and then he just totally knows that it's happening,
Right.
which is great. He's like, "Oh, they ruined my drink. That's too bad." And then, and right, like literally a split second later, Sing Lam is like jumping through the roof to catch to go after whoever did it. The beats of this don't feel protracted or dated in the sense of that it's too slow or whatever. Like it feels very modern in its quick pacing. It is very fast. I just want to talk really quick. I just want to say who edited it. His name's Peter Chung.
Yeah.
And the editing rhythms, which is what is so important to editing and maybe one of the most important things about it, they're so vulnerable to action. And they're so vulnerable to things like reverse cinematography and things like that. And he does a really good job of putting it all together and making it flow. You know, kudos to Peter Chung.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many shots of like ninjas flipping over the camera and so many very quick cuts to either our protagonists, like from these canted angles or from underneath or from above. And to be able to piece these elements together and have that kind of spatial awareness that you were talking about, Gary, is a very difficult trick to pull off. So yeah, kudos to him. I also want to, Bill was saying Sing Lam and I'm saying Sheng Nan. And it is Sing Lam in the translation that I have, but on IMDb they call her Sheng Nan. Do they give her different names at different times? Could she be another mistranslation?
I don't have the answer for that. I have her as Sing Lam.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to from now on refer to her as Sing Lam.
I think for some reason the sort of Western alphabetization or the Roman alphabetization of Chinese words or names can have multiple translations.
Sure.
So it's not even necessarily like maybe I should be saying Xing Lum or, you know, like something that's kind of closer to what the pronunciation that you're saying, Sheng Nan.
No, but I think you're right because even in this, like the subtitles in my viewing, it was Sing Lam.
Yeah,
and it sounded like that's what Master Han says her name like 100 times. And
yeah,
it sounds like he's saying.
You know what? Another thing is obviously is that sometimes you're dealing with Cantonese and sometimes you're dealing with Mandarin.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah.
And we should specify this is a Cantonese speaking film.
It is.
I also want to point out about Sing Lam.
Mm-hmm.
Hong Kong's Helen Mirren.
Is that right? Oh,
No, I'm just
for
saying.
For you mean?
Yeah.
Very camera friendly.
Yes.
She's a total babe, bro. So, what did you guys think of the ideas? We all know that the story is a bit of a mess. Did the story talk about anything interesting in terms of where it got to at the end? Because
Yes.
at the very end, we have them face off. It's very interesting. What happens at the end, Gary? Like, what do they do to each other? Because this was kind of surprising.
So, yeah, I mean, they're both mortally wounded. Obviously, they're not getting off the beach, right?
Was that what you felt? Like
I
they're
felt
definitely both dying right there?
Yeah.
I felt that.
It's more than just a flesh wound. Yes.
It definitely is. I mean, Miyamoto has a sword stuck all the way through his middle,
Yes.
and he's just standing there. And, Ching Wan has an arm lopped off.
And he got a sword through the collarbone at one point. So,
Sword
yeah.
through the so I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
he's
maybe Ching Wan could live.
Well,
maybe.
so I think this is my read. I believe they're both doomed to death.
Uh-huh.
But so what does Miyamoto or Hashimoto do before he dies? We don't see either of them die. First of all, I should clarify that.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to say too. Yeah.
Sequel.
But what do we see him do before we kind of see that final shot of them?
What does he do?
He does something with his sword to himself.
Oh, he puts the sword through his foot so he wouldn't fall off the cliff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, so and
about
Ching Wan had his fingers cut off and his arm cut off.
Yeah,
The final shot of the film is them both standing there.
right. It's like Rocky.
I got the sense that what they were both trying to do is be the last man
Standing.
and they gave you kind of an inception. Will it happen? Won't it happen?
Well, and I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
You don't know who's going to fall.
Absolutely.
And that's wonderful. And maybe that's not the point, because you see them both mortally wounded. And so what did anybody gain by the greatest swordsman from Japan and the greatest swordsman from China fighting each other to the
That's
death?
what I got out of the end was just the futility of it.
The futility.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. It's almost if this movie is trying to be a commentary, maybe it's about the futility of honor culture, because they use that word so many times, it almost loses its meaning. Especially when they are characterizing the Japanese entourage.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this before, but Ching Wan is the one who starts to question it. Miyamoto doubles down. Not only does he want to fight to the death, he kills the monk so that Ching Wan will stop and fight him.
Brilliant.
Because the monk, I forgot, the monk is his uncle. So he says, what
Yes.
if one of your family members, or what if somebody you love died? Would you then fight me? And then he kills him right away. And it's just brutal. And then, because I liked Miyamoto up to that point, and then I didn't like him anymore.
Well, because Ching Wan has said, I'm out. And he does a mic drop
Yeah.
and says, enough of this shit. I'm going home.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to kill you.
And Hashimoto / Miyamoto at this point decides that he has to engage him somehow. And he kills Tio, which is messed up.
Right, right.
Because that character also has a lot of charisma. He's got a lot of riz.
He does. And he survived that whole thing. He survived Ninja of Ultron. He survived all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he just kills him. And the guy's like just hanging on for dear life, just riding on a horse. And he just
After they
kills
both
him.
fought to rescue them. And
Right.
it was such, there's
It
such,
was
I love
brutal.
the fact that they both champions got to team up for a while in this movie.
Yeah.
So that was great. They fought the evil ninjas, right? The other guy, he's like, well, my master's dead. Your master's going to die. We have no choice but to fight now,
Yeah.
So, I mean, even when he killed his master in the mask, his master before he died said, recite the code to me before I die.
Right.
And he made him ingrained
That's at the
it.
beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's literally dying as he's saying it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we are, going back to your original question, Bill, if we're trying to like search for deeper meaning, or if we're trying to mine any kind of themes out of this, maybe it's about what honor represents different cultures, which probably gets tricky because these are two cultures. These would be two cultures that historically never had a high opinion of one another.
I think some of the culture, as you said earlier, what was it? Honor culture? Is that what you said? That is something common to both.
Yes.
But I think in this story, the Japanese warrior cannot undo his programming.
Yeah.
He is firmly locked into, I have to fight this guy to the death. Whether I die or he dies, I have to fight him to the... And the Chinese guy has said, he's like the hippie of the movie. He's like, I don't know if this makes any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was a great scene which I thought summarized all this. It was when the Japanese fighters showed up and they were looking at artwork in the House of the Holy Sword, I think, and they saw a plum tree. And the
Oh, I love
Japanese
that. Yeah, yeah.
Japanese fighter didn't understand what it was. They thought it was because it was short and weak. And the Chinese said, no, the plum tree represents us because it's sturdy and it can endure the harshest of winters. And he says, what's your tree? And the Japanese fighter says, the cherry blossom. Although it's short-lived, it leaves an everlasting impression and is never forgotten. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, nice.
It was great.
Nice pull.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're constantly painting Japan in a certain brush. And, I don't know if they're doing a deeply offensive caricature of Japan or just kind of a heightened version of what they feel about it. But, even in our introduction to Miyamoto / Hashimoto is when there are these schoolboys and they're all fighting with fake swords. And Miyamoto goes to one of the kids and gives him little pointers, and then he turns into the champion.
He's like the runt, the little kid.
Yes, exactly.
He gives him some pointers of how to fight the taller kid.
Right, but even then, it was like this very militant. This is what they're teaching kids at this age. Like this. That's kind of the. Obviously, it's just kids playing at a certain level.
Oh no, but I think aren't those kids? Is that in Japan or is that in China? Oh, okay.
Because the kid that gets the advice is related to Hashimoto.
Oh, okay.
So, or Miyamoto, he calls him his uncle or something. So.
Oh no, but I thought that was just like you say because they use that as a greeting.
Oh well, so maybe, but yeah, so that this movie is full of those little clues, and I guess it shouldn't be a surprise to us that Miyamoto does this at the end, but it is a surprise.
It's a surprise that he kills the uncle. To me, that he went that far.
Right, and we're seeing two faces of Japan because we've got Kaneda, who is devious and deceptive, and then we've got Miyamoto, who's honorable.
Right. But also we're seeing two faces of China because Master Han is also deceptive and basically ruining his house by trying to put it back in favor.
Physically deceptive as well.
Yes.
Gary, can you describe how Mr. Han has been leading us on with his body?
I have no legs.
Yes.
That was a bizarre moment.
There was so much just like stuff that came up that you could not see coming.
It happened so fast. Like he finds him with bloodied stumps at his house. Oh, they're here. They're attacking. Help me. And then immediately after, Ching Wan gets thrown into the spiderweb trap, right? Mm-hmm. And then you see Master Han on crutches, but he has no bottom legs. And he's like, I've always been crippled. Ha, 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 ha. You were fooled by this? It's like, well, who wouldn't be? Yeah. Like who would think that you had legs the whole time?
Also, very great control of those crutches. I gotta say,
incredible. And then later, he's fighting again, and when he loses the battle, you see that his legs are literally just like wooden stumps. Yeah. Like there's nothing fancy about them. They're not amazing prosthetics. Like he's literally just walking around and fighting and everything with these stumps. So a little unbelievable again, but that's okay.
Well, Gary pointed out that this film throws a lot of hard turns at you at the end, particularly, and I want to discuss one now, if we can, which is the final showdown between Miyamoto, Hashimoto, and Kaneda.
Okay.
A lot happens in that fight, but how does it end?
How does it end?
Well, so Kaneda loses his head.
That's right. They're jumping in the trees, right? Or something? They're like in the sky.
They're in the sky. Yeah, they're having a tree fight. And the tree fight's fairly standard. It's nothing really stands out about that. There's some ninja trickery and throwing stars and things interspersed throughout. But Kaneda loses his head by the sword of Miyamoto, and the head becomes impaled. And the head has a few parting words from Miyamoto. I don't even remember what they were. But after he kind of gives us his final send-off, the head explodes.
Oh, that's right. The head explodes.
A magical moment for
He's
so
a ninja.
many reasons.
So, Kaneda, it turns out to be one of the ninjas, as we find out.
Yes.
So he just, right until the end, he's full of tricks.
But that was just such a rug pull for me. I was, because again, this movie's, as is the wuxia tradition, employs, magic, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I suppose we need to read that for what it is, but I was not expecting an impaled head.
But ninjas aren't about magic. They seem like they are.
Right.
But it's actually real world, things that they're employing to create these deceptions.
Well, whatever the real world trick that allows your
head to explode,
severed head to endure.
They can't tell you.
Being impaled, sending you off with like a one-liner and then exploding.
They can't tell you.
Those are secrets that we'll never know.
They can't tell you. Yeah. It's a secret.
That was a very special moment to me.
The only thing I can see ties in is at the beginning of the opening fight against the monastery where the ninjas know they're about to be overrun. They launch a mass ninja suicide attack.
That's right.
And they explode. So
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, that might be the moment where I kind of perked up in my seat and I was like, oh, okay, this is what this is.
They were literally kamikaze ninjas.
They were, yeah.
It was like, I mean, that kind of stuff might be offensive to Japanese people. Like, okay,
Sure,
come
sure.
on, maybe I don't know, like, or maybe they think it was funny. Like, oh, I get it. Oh, yes.
Although
okay.
maybe it helps them that they have this sort of magical quality to them because of that. You can
Maybe.
kind of let them off the hook a little bit.
It is like a cartoon. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, at the end, when they're trying to kind of to flee with all the kidnapped masters, they're just flying, essentially. They're flying in a straight line, which is a really cool visual, by the way. But they've got these kind of, I don't know what you would call them.
The things where they're the boxes that have the poles. What do they call those?
I don't know. I used to actually know what you call that.
Yeah.
But, and they're just flying through the air with them. And,
It's awesome.
yeah. Oh, it's great.
I don't know how they did that. Is that with a crane? Like, what are they doing? How do they do that?
That was one of those visuals. Yeah, again, I have no idea.
Through trees.
Yeah.
Like, how do they not get branches on everything? Like,
In a perfectly straight line.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe those were models, but
Looked good.
yeah, it looked great.
If it was a model.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any other thoughts on the film? Did you like the music?
It didn't quite stand out to me, although there is a final little ditty.
The song by Michael Lai.
Yeah, and I was tempted to try and capture the lyrics, but I don't. And if we don't have them at hand, I'll insert them here.
The brave and glorious hero smiles upon the arrival of death. Imperishable is the noble spirit, unconquerable is his swordplay. He will not be blinded by hatred and malice. He has no fear of loneliness. He has no fear of how others change. Loneliness embraces him and makes him as cold as an icy river. He smiles, although his heart is broken.
Anyway, so yeah, but there was well, I guess I'll have to translate that if I do.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
that's
sure
fine.
it's probably translated
I'll dub
somewhere
over.
online.
Yeah, I'll do my dub version. And that's like literally like the song at the end of the film that just spells out all of the themes
What
for
the
you.
what
Yeah.
the movie is about.
Which is fine.
Did you have any final thoughts, Gary?
No, I really enjoyed this movie all the way through. I thought it was, for me, there was stuff in here I have not seen before. Like especially the flying kite ninjas. I don't think I've ever seen that anywhere else.
It was amazing.
There's a lot of stuff that stood out.
Again, being somebody who's spent a lot of time with the modern version of this, it was very refreshing to see a proto version that also fits along with those modern versions and
holds up. Yeah.
And again, I don't know if this is all because of Siu-Tung Ching is just a one of a kind stunt or fight choreographer who continues to work today. So maybe that's just his influence continues to be felt, but it's really impressive work.
Agreed. I mean, that's the strength of the film is all of the great effects and all of the inventiveness of the action stunts. Truly inspiring.
And amazing bald caps.
We should
Highly recommend.
We should mention that this was produced by Raymond Chow and so distributed by Golden Harvest. It was released on January 13th, 1983 in Hong Kong. Yeah. And so, Gary, what are 3 films that you've seen recently, old or new, that you'd suggest the audience check out?
I actually trying to keep with this theme right here with this genre. Films that really impressed me along these lines that I think were heavily inspired by this. Obviously, we mentioned before House of Flying Daggers, which I enjoyed way better than Crouching Tiger. Drunken Master 2 with Jackie Chan. Have not seen that. Definitely see that. First time I ever saw drunken boxing on screen was this film, and he was amazing. And then Tai Chi Master, which is the first time I saw Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh, and they're both in this film together doing fantastic work. I highly recommend all 3 of those.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Good polls.
Yeah. And how can people find out more about you?
I have a website. You can check me out. It's tiltedhat.net.
Done.
Yeah. See some of my work on there.
Hit Gary up. Check out his photographs. All right.
Yeah, you're a talented man. I hope that we can steer some folks over your way.
I appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
Our pleasure.
Especially pulling this film to watch. I really enjoyed it.
This episode is sound engineered, edited, and mixed by Colin Dixon. It was produced by William Budell and Colin Dixon. Original music composed by Michael Riola. Recorded at Booze Hollywood Dell in beautiful Hollywood, California. If you'd like to contact us with comments, suggestions, or high praise, email us at cosmicmotionshow@gmail.com or send us a voice message at speakpipe.com/Cosmic Motion. You can find us on the socials at Cosmic Motion or Cosmic Motion Show. Emails, messages, audio, or other media you send us may be featured on the program. We want to thank our guest, Gary Landry Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks to my co-host, Colin.
Teach your birds to speak Cantonese today.
Thank you, listener, for joining us on this episode. We look forward to exploring the cinematic cosmos with you in the future. Until then, keep learning, growing, and creating.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.